Like we promised before slipping into the break, that on this side, we will find solutions for those of you who haven't planned for or invested to fund your own or your child's higher education. Education loans is that way out. And to discuss that, I'm joined by Mr. Jitin Bhasin, General Manager, Sales and Business Development, bankbazaar.com. And we're also joined by Prashant Jindal, a BBA student who wants to go to Australia, Sydney University, to pursue his Masters in Management, for which he is, of course, seeking a loan. Jitin, my first question is that, of course, we will talk about the fact that how can you get an education loan, what is the eligibility criteria, so on and so forth. But before that, what does a bank look for in a candidate while granting him a loan, an education loan?
I think, Abhishek, from a bank's perspective, things which are very important are, three things are very important. First and foremost, the academic profile of the student in question is very, very important.
Right.
The bank wants to be very sure as to how the student has performed over the last few years, and they want to be sure as to whether they are funding the right candidate. That's
Right.
point number one. Point number two would be the quality of education that the student is trying to pursue. Quality of institute, relevance of course.
Or you're talking about the ranking.
Yeah, relevance of course, how the job market is accepting that particular course, is that relevant in today's job market or not?
Right.
And that is with the view to ascertain the repayment capacity of the student. So whether it is to be funded by once the student starts working and he or she is in job market, or the financial strength of the co-applicant in
And
question.
this is irrespective of whether it's a public bank or a private bank.
Any bank, this remains a loan at the end of the day.
So Prashant, what would you want to ask him?
Sure, sir. First of all, I would like to ask that what does one need to look at while choosing an educational loan?
Prashant, one very important factor which students generally miss is the amount of loan that you require through your course term. Generally, students look for only tuition fee or hostel fee, but there are other expenses also which do come up during the course term. Second is you also have to zero down on the institution that you want to pursue. So,
But Jitin, sorry for interrupting you, but isn't the loan amount only for the tuition fee, or does it include all these things as well?
no, Abhishek, banks are willing to look at the entire portfolio, right?
Right.
So from a portfolio approach, tuition fee is not the only expense that a student will incur during the course term. And what is
Also, the amount could also depend on the kind of university you have received an offer from.
Absolutely.
So say if you've received an offer from an IIM, a top grade college, I mean, you're talking about India, and if you've received an offer from, let's say, a B grade or C grade college, then in that case, the loan amount will vary?
You got it right. So the loan amount, as I said, is a function of the quality of education in the institute, which is actually a surrogate for the employment prospects that one can expect to have, at the end of the course term.
Right.
I'm assuming the student will fund the repayment of the loan using their own salaries, which is why the course type and the institute types becomes very important. If you pursue a course which does not have a lot of relevance in the job market, chances are you will not be able to repay.
Right. Is there any collateral which is required for loans up to, if I'm not wrong, correct me if I am, for loans up to 4 lakhs, there is no collateral which is required?
Since you're looking for a loan which is for education outside of India, right?
Yes.
Certainly, yes. For ticket sizes of loans more than 7.5 lakh rupees, typically financial institutions will require a tangible collateral.
Okay,
right?
okay.
It could be in the form of a flat or house.
Right.
It could be in the form of fixed deposits.
But he doesn't need to be the owner. It could be the
Not
co-applicant, it could be
necessarily.
the guarantor, right?
The co-applicant who is vouching for the repayment of the loan.
It'll be your parents in this case, right, Prashant?
Yes, sir, obviously.
Yeah, so co-applicant could be parents or family, right? There are family relations which can be co-applicants.
What are the interest rates depending on banks to banks, and is there any floating rate or will it be fixed interest rate?
First of all, Jitin, explain the difference.
So fixed rate is a rate wherein the bank will fix the rate and you will continue to be charged during the loan term at that particular rate.
For example, if it's at 12%, I'll only be charged 12%
You will
on
continue to be
principal throughout.
charged 12% during the loan term, and you agree to that right from day one of you asking for the loan. That's the fixed format.
Right.
The floating format is a function of how the rate is behaving in the market, what are the base rates that the bank is having, and that is a function of how the economy is behaving. Eventually.
What's better
approach.
for a student, a fixed rate education loan or a floating rate education loan?
It depends, Abhishek. It depends as to when are you locking in the rate, right? If you're currently in a very, very low rate regime, and if
Right.
you expect the rates to go up, then fixed is the best, because if you expect the rates to go up in a
This
northeasterly
is a little
direction.
dicey, this is a little tricky, right?
Yeah, so typically I think, which is why most of the banks stick to a fixed rate regime for an
Right.
educational loan purposes. You would find very few instances of floating rate, in educational loans. Largely fixed is preferred, but floating is also available.
Prashant,
Sir,
have all your questions been answered?
Sir, just one more question.
Yeah,
That are there, like, is it possible if I ask my bank that I need to repay the loan in 5 years, or will the bank say that no, you have to repay it in 3 years or 2 years?
I guess
or so
those are just
and
terms and conditions. It depends and varies from case to case, right?
Okay.
So I think your question, Prashant, specifically is, with regards to the loan term.
Loan
right?
terms, yes, sir.
So loan term is a function of how much loan are you, requiring at a given point in time. And it can go up to 15 years as well in cases.
Okay.
So there are banks which do on large ticket sizes. There are cases wherein the banks will be willing to lend for over say 10 years period as well. But typically, the tenure of the loan is fixed upfront when you apply for the loan, and it is a function of how much time do you think you will require to repay the entire loan amount. So what happens is your first job may not be as
Oh,
lucrative
that's
as
wonderful. I mean, you start with a smaller amount, and
Yes.
as you sort of start earning more.
Yes.
Prashant, we hope we managed to answer
Yes,
all your
sir.
questions.
Yes,
On that note, we will wrap up today's show. And we also hope that we have managed to answer some of your questions as well. Until next time, goodbye and thanks for watching.